worship associate / leader this morning, and with Reverend Kaya taking a 4-day vacation, which she well deserves, in West Texas, and so I hope that they arrive safely. And we're going to open our worship service with hymn number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. It's in your gray hymnal. Those of you who can see the screen, the words will be on the screen behind me.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. One more time. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Thank you, Jen and Joe, for doing the sound today, and Darby for the drumming. I didn't say a while ago that we use UUCBV, or Brazos UU for short, and that my pronouns are she and her. We are a welcoming congregation, which means we celebrate and welcome all people of diverse sexual orientation and gender identities. We also strive to welcome people across diversities of race, age, ability, immigration status, and belief. We are also a congregation working for reproductive justice. So whoever you are, and wherever you have come from, and wherever you are on your life journey, we welcome you here. We especially welcome our guest speaker today, Katrina, better known as Katy Stewart. She's the director of the Pride Community Center here in Brazos County, Bryan-College Station. She is a senior leader in LGBT civil rights and transgender education. She has served on the boards of the Equality Texas and Transgender Education Network, as well as on the steering committee of Trans Advisory Network, and that's a national organization. Under her leadership and that of the board, the Pride Community Center is making a positive impact, not only in Bryan-College Station, but in the state of Texas. A couple of announcements we have today. This coming Saturday is the Brazos the mobile food pantry for Brazos County. We meet at the Boys and Girls Club on that street. Volunteers show up as early as 8 o'clock, and I think it's over around noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, something like that. So volunteers are needed. You don't have to sign up, but it helps them plan where people can be located if you sign up. The sign-up sheet is on our latest eCast, if you can get that. We still have a limited number of the Side with Love t-shirts that we all wore at the Capitol on Monday, which was an awesome event. If you are friends with Reverend Kaya on Facebook, you will see numerous pictures of that event. It was awesome. Now I'd like to invite, just for either one of those, the mobile food pantry or the t-shirts, just see our Director of Religious Education, Allison. So our call to worship today is by Reverend Joni Johnson Lewis. May we have the courage to open ourselves to the pleasures and the wounds of life. May we have the strength to be open and honest with ourselves and others, even when it is difficult. May we have the wisdom to understand that when we travel through the mist of uncertainty, openness and vulnerability make it more possible to find the way through that mist. To be open and vulnerable is to be alive. Now, if you would join me with saying the words of our Chalice Lighting, which are on the screen. We light the chalice, the symbol of the Unitarian Universalist faith, as a beacon of hope for all who seek justice, dignity, and compassion, and in celebration of the life of truth and meaning we share together. And now, our unison affirmation, if you would join me as well. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now, as Unitarian Universalists, we respect the divine that is in each of us, the holy that is in each of us. So we come to the time of our service where we greet the holy, meaning each of you. There is a spark of divine in every one of us. So please take a few minutes to greet your neighbors around you, and if you see somebody you don't know, especially be friendly to them. And we'll have music to bring you back into the worship service. Forgot to invite Molly up to do her stewardship statement. So This is being vulnerable. I'm asking for your forgiveness.
My name is Molly Hagan Ward, and I'm joined today by my support child, Elijah Russell Ward, who has graciously agreed to stand with me today. It's such an honor to speak before you today. And the only reason I'm able to is that so many people have contributed to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Brazos Valley over the years. I found the church after having my son Eli 15 years ago, and at the time I didn't have a spiritual home because I'd kind of given up after searching for years in college and not finding the right fit. And like all of us here, I'm able to connect to the divine wherever I go. But having a community of people that are seeking to grow in their spirituality, who can admit that sometimes life is hard to handle alone, and is also welcoming to all souls, means the world to me. It was the insistence that you would only be saved and could only go to heaven if you believed just the right thing that caused me to leave the Catholic Church. It was also being told that only a man could be a spiritual leader. And I want to be able to raise my children with love and acceptance for who they are. And if that's someone who will stand with me but is not quite comfortable pouring their heart out like their mama, I am so grateful that we have the church to support us. As a parent, yes, I want to raise them with love and acceptance, but I need structure. I appreciate the structure that church gives me. And I love, as we all do, the ceremony that it gives us. This ceremony gives meaning and purpose and beauty. So I give thanks to all those who have contributed in ways large and small over the years through their time, talent, and treasure. And in order to provide a spiritual home to all those who seek it, there are a lot of costs, and many, many costs to be covered, and not the least of which are the paid staff and employees who are truly meant to be. Reverend Kaya's contributions to our church have been inspirational and very exciting. We have persisted over the years. We have worked hard. And we have loved hard. And with her, we have been rewarded. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
And may we all continue to give thanks for this welcoming congregation that has given us all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm good. Okay, so this morning I have a very special helper. Gotcha. Okay, good morning. This morning, I know it was hard to get out of bed. It was very cold outside and warm in your bed, so I'm so happy that all of you are here today and to hear Katy speak. But I love seeing all of you. As we have a guest speaker who was on the Equality Texas board, which I did not know. That's very cool. Today we have a story by Equality Texas called "The Kid Who Became Governor." Sandy was born and raised in Texas. They have a family that loves and supports them. They have a dog named Biscuit and a brother named Jack, and they love to dance. Does anyone like to dance here? I do. You do? Me too. I dance all the time. Sandy is also a transgender Texan. They are happy, healthy, loved, and supported by their whole family. But in Texas, politicians keep trying to hurt kids like Sandy. Sandy doesn't understand why. Sandy is just a regular kid. These politicians want to keep kids like Sandy from playing sports with their friends. That makes Sandy sad because they really like playing softball with their classmates. And here you can see it says, "No trans kids in sports." Yeah, feel free to boo. They were obsessed with kids like Sandy going to the bathroom, which just seems so strange. Everyone has to use the bathroom. You can't use the bathroom. All of these people had so much power, and it seemed like they only wanted to use it to hurt kids like Sandy. And that was wrong. No health care for trans kids. Even the governor of Texas, the most powerful person in the state, ignores kids who need help. He even ordered that kids like Sandy can be taken away from their parents. Why would all of these people use their power to hurt kids and not help them? Sandy couldn't understand why all of these powerful people kept attacking transgender kids, especially when there were so many kids in Texas who needed someone to help them, not hurt them. Why was it so easy for Sandy to see the problem, but not politicians? And you can see over here, these are the kids who need help. Kids who were cold when the power went out. Y'all remember that? Kids who don't have enough food to eat. Kids who are scared to go to school because of guns. Sandy's mom always said that if you wished on a star, you could get whatever your heart desired. That night, Sandy went to sleep thinking about their wish. I wish I could help Texas kids. When Sandy woke in the morning, they were shocked to find their wish had come true. They were the governor of Texas. Good morning, Governor Sandy. Governor Sandy got to work right away. My fellow Texans, it is time we stood up for what is good and kind. Today is a new day for all Texans. Woof, woof. Yay. The first thing they did was to use their veto stamp and stop all of the bad bills that were attacking transgender kids. No more bills that hurt kids. Yay! The Texas Capitol had been such a scary place for transgender kids, so Governor Sandy spruced it up with a welcome sign and the transgender flag, the American flag, and the Texas flag. That way, all kids, including transgender kids, would never have to be afraid to visit. Now everyone will feel welcome, right, Biscuit? Woo, woo. Governor Sandy couldn't do the work alone, so they helped get Biscuit elected as their lieutenant governor. Biscuit did way more work than the last guy who had the job. Governor Sandy signed new bills that gave kids health care, made their schools safer, helped them learn about other people and cultures through history, and kept their families from being pulled apart by politicians. Governor Sandy also made sure that there was always time to dance and have fun with the people they cared about. Amen. Governor Sandy put kindness first. They made a Texas where everyone was respected and valued, and where politicians used their power to help people, not hurt people. We've done good work here, Biscuit. Woof. Suddenly, Sandy woke up to find they were back at home in their own bed. It had all been a dream. But it helped Sandy realize how people with power could help others if they wanted to. It was all a dream. Sandy knew what was possible if people put kindness, acceptance, and equality first. Their dream taught them that Texas can be a place where everyone feels safe and loved, and where everyone matters. All it takes are people willing to make the dream a reality. We've got a lot of work to do, Biscuit. Let's get started. And Biscuit said, woo. All right, thank you so much. And all the kiddos who are joining me for RE, we're not going outside today. We're going to meet in the hallway, okay? And will y'all please sing this out?
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
This is the time in our service where we recognize joys and concerns from our community and we can give mutual support. I guess I couldn't hold us right. Wow. Okay, so joys and concerns. If you have a joy and concern you would like to share with this community, you're welcome to come up to the mic. Remember that our services are recorded and can be played to the public, so adjust your comments as you wish. Do we have any?
I'm just coming in.
We have a guest.
It's a joy for Alice to be here today.
She's not just coming in, she's just finished giving us our food, which we are very joyful for.
It's great to see everybody again. I'm here visiting from Fairfax, Virginia. I miss you guys so much. I did get to go to church where Reverend Christian is, up in Mount Vernon. So there are 22 Unitarian churches very close to me. So I am in hog heaven. But anyway, I came to visit my daughter. She just got out of the hospital, so I've extended my stay. And she's doing well, and we're hanging in there. So good to see all of you.
Good to see you too. Wish you could be here next weekend to go to the women's retreat. So glad you're here today. Anybody else? Okay, I will write one extra candle, for those unspoken joys and concerns that we hold in our hearts. Thank you.
Now we're gonna sing one. This one's in your teal hymnal, and it is 1053, and it's How Could Anyone?
Katy Stewart to share some wisdom with us.
If you would indulge me for a moment, if you feel so moved to pray with me, do so. If you don't, that's okay too. Whatever works for you. Great One who is with us, within us, and between us, please bless this time, please bless this space. Please extend your grace to us, even as you teach us to see the grace in others and to extend that grace to them. So let it be. So, out on the welcoming table, there were some cards. If you got to pick one up, great. If not, here's what I would ask. There's a QR code on there. Scan it with your phone and go to the link tree that's on there. And then hand that card to someone else who doesn't have one. What you're going to have is a list of resources that will allow you to access not only You know, if you feel so moved to kind of evaluate what I'm saying today, great. But there will also be resources for everything we're going to talk about today. So as was mentioned, I'm Katy Stewart. I'm the Executive Director of Pride Communities here in the Brazos Valley. We serve the Brazos Valley, so Bryan College Station, Brazos County, and the surrounding 7 counties. And we basically build community, offer support, and try to build up the LGBT community here in the Brazos Valley. There's a lot of negative crap coming from the state legislature, that big pink dome of all, you know, sarcastic sort of things, ironic sort of things in Austin. And so what I'm here to do to talk with you about today is some of that legislation, and hopefully afterwards, if you have the time and can stay around and want to kind of debrief with myself and others about how it impacts you and your family, that would be great. To start us off though, I'd like to talk about how policy is made, how bills become laws in the state of Texas. This is pretty standard across the board, although in Texas, I can tell you, we have a couple of twists and turns that always crop up. But in general, a bill is introduced, right, by a senator or a representative of the Texas State House. Both sides have the ability to introduce bills. So there's the House side and the Senate side. Once it's introduced, it goes to committee. And from committee, it's put on a calendar. It's put on a calendar to go to the House floor or to the Senate floor. Now, from there, if it is passed, it has to go to the other branch of the legislative chamber. So let's say it's introduced in the House, right? It gets a hearing in committee. It gets to calendars and ends up on the House floor. It gets voted on usually 2 or 3 times. And then it has to go to the Senate. The Senate has to go through the same process, and they have to agree, and if it's agreed upon, it gets voted, and it goes to the governor for their approval or rejection. So a lot of steps in there, but a lot of potential for us to make impact on some of the negative stuff that's out there and support some of the positive stuff as well. Now, as of March 10th, the filing for bills has ended. So every bill that's going to be in this regular session has already been filed. It's all now going towards committees to be heard. In all, 281 bills were filed impacting the LGBTQ plus community. 139 of those were what we call anti-LGBT or bad bills. But the good news here is that there were 142 good bills. Yeah. So what we want to do is we want to create kind of a blockade for those bad bills, right? So if we get them into committee first, and we get good hearings on them, we can hopefully create enough of a backlog to keep some of the bad bills back. So what I would recommend, that link tree, stay tuned to Equality Texas and even Pride Community Center for notices on committee hearings, which often are not given until about 48 to 72 hours beforehand. You can always watch the hearings online through the Texas Legislature online. And if you happen to have the chance to go to Austin and testify, great. But there's a lot you can do here locally, and we'll try to go through that as well. So some things coming up. Senate Bill 8 is getting a hearing. Senate Bill 8 seeks to steer public money to private schools, through vouchers, and censor classroom discussions about LGBTQ plus issues. This is similar to the Florida Don't Say Gay bill. It's going to get a hearing on Wednesday, March 22nd at 9 a.m. And there's a location I can give you afterwards. It's a weird system in the state house in terms of where rooms are. HB 900, also known as the Book Burning Act, seeks to outright censor books with any LGBTQ plus themes, characters, or content, and require parental permission to access certain other books. So, the book that Allison just read to the kids, that would be not allowed. Anyone know the book Stephen Colbert made, Red? Okay. Red is a book about a crayon, people. But because it emphasizes individuality and being yourself, it's one of those that's considered LGBTQ plus themed and is being banned So there's a whole range of books out there, all age appropriate, across the spectrum, that are being sought to be banned. This particular bill is getting a hearing on March 22nd at 9 a.m. Over in the House. And it's been, one thing you can do is submit written testimony, and there's a place on Equality Texas's website to do that. And that's also in your link tree. So some highlights from this past week. Unfortunately, Senate Bill 15 passed. Now, let me describe how Texas Tribune talked about that, or Dallas Morning News, I'm sorry, talked about that. Texas Senate Committee on State Affairs on Thursday approved a bill to restrict competition by transgender athletes in collegiate sports. The first hearing this session involving legislation that affects the LGBTQ community. Senate Bill 15 by Mays Middleton, Republican from Galveston, would require collegiate athletes to compete according to their sex at birth. It also bars retaliation against anyone who reports a violation and includes language to allow women to compete against men if a women's competition in their sport is not offered or available. So a lot of complicated stuff in there, but basically it bans transgender athletes from college sports. Some other highlights from this week. So there's a thing called card drops. So if you are in the Austin area and you happen to be swinging by that little pink dome and get on their Wi-Fi, you can do what's called a card drop. So without going in and testifying, you can say, this is a bad bill, I don't like this, or hey, I'm really glad y'all are doing this, I vote for, right? And you can do that as long as you're connected to the Capitol Wi-Fi. They haven't made it, you can do it where you can do it from here, which we would love. No, they want you to be in Austin by the Capitol. But the good news is, for Senate Bill 14, which is a healthcare ban for trans youth, there have been 60 card drops supporting the bill, 287 opposing the bill.
Yeah.
For Senate Bill 250, a healthcare ban for trans youth, 31 were supporting, 211 opposing.
Yes.
SB 1029, healthcare ban for trans people of all ages, 41 supporting, 236 opposing. And for Senate Bill 162, birth certificate gender marker free, so you wouldn't be able to change your gender on birth certificates, 38 supporting, 221 opposing. So we have some people in the Austin area that really have our back. What we need to do is figure out ways to take action locally. I understand you all have had a postcard sending campaign, which is great. If we can do things like set up visits to our elected officials who may have offices locally, that would be great too, and that's something that I'm sure we can work on in the near future. Because, for instance, Shortner, I believe, has an office here in Bryan College Station, as do others. So who and what do these negative bills impact, right? Let's drill down to some of the basics. So a set of them impact healthcare. And these bills attempt to enact healthcare bans that limit access to life-saving healthcare for transgender youth in opposition to the best standards of current medical care and gender-affirming care. There's a bunch about education. These bills attempt to further stigmatize the LGBTQ+ community in the classroom by devaluing the humanity and existence of transgender Texans, including bills that place highly invasive gender tests to participate in everyday tasks, thereby having to prove one's gender to go to the restroom, be on the sports team, or participate in other parts of day-to-day life. And they censor educators and students by turning identity into a banned topic, so the so-called Don't Say Gay bills. A few hope to police business. So these bills punish small businesses for creating safe spaces for the LGBTQ+ community. Some affect identity documents. So having an ID that reflects who you are is, of course, a basic form of dignity that many of us take for granted. These particular bills make it impossible for trans people to update their essential ID documents, to change name, to change gender, etc. And there's a set, we tend to all agree on this idea of local control, right? there's a set of bills that would take local control away. There were about 14 counties that had passed non-discrimination ordinances in Texas. And what these are is basically equality of access in public settings and accommodations. San Antonio was one. Houston had a fight over it some years ago with theirs. I know Dallas County also passed some. These bills would seek to say that, no, we're all going to decide all of that at the state level and we're going to deny everyone that. That's kind of what they tried to do with sanctuary cities, if you remember, in which the governor said, no, you can't do that, we're not going to let you do that. But a number of cities said, oh yes we are, and we did. This would try to write in the law that you cannot go against the state government on those issues. So who do these bills impact? Well, they impact the whole LGBT community. Unfortunately, way too many of them are affecting our transgender youth. They impact transgender affirming care being a decision in the domain of a family in concert with their healthcare practitioner, trying to take that sort of power away from families and qualified medical professionals. And they're also predominantly targeted at the teaching of sexuality in a holistic manner that includes identity as well as physiology, health, and reproduction. Those of us that have gone through our training that is provided by the UU and the UCC know about this kind of training. Very productive, very age-appropriate, holistic instruction. And frankly, you can't get in the public school, right? They would further seek to limit that. So why is it so urgent that we address this stuff? One thing I learned recently about creating change, whether you're creating change in an organization or you're creating change in a community, is you got to express what the urgency is. You got to tell people why. Why do we want to do this? Well, here's a little bit of information for you. The Trevor Project has done a survey of over 34,000 youth. 45% were youth of color, 48% were transgender and non-binary, about the impact of things like this legislation in the public domain. What did it do to our kids? So, these recent political attacks at the transgender and non-binary youth have not only threatened the access to health care, support systems, and affirming spaces at school, they've also negatively impacted our youth's mental health. 91% of transgender and non-binary youth said that they are worried about transgender people being denied access to the bathroom due to state or local laws. 91% of our youth don't know whether they can go to the damn bathroom. I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous in my book, right? And this is coming off of the end of COVID, where we already had enough sort of stress and anxiety for not only ourselves, but for our kids. So 58% of 56% of LGBTQ youth reported that their mental health was poor most of the time or always due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And we know that. So it's a layering effect, right? We had COVID-19, now we're laying anti-LGBT bills on top of that, and it's just creating a hard situation for us. As Unitarians, you adhere to the 7 principles, right? You agree and covenant with each other on the 7 principles. So my interpretation of this, if I may present it to you, and you don't have to agree with me, and that's fine, but the way I look at this, in accordance with the 7 principles. First principle, these bills send a negative message regarding the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Second principle, justice, equity, and compassion should not be a quantity to be doled out or not by lawmakers. These are inherent rights. Third and fourth principles, these bills put a barrier between us and others, as well as between us and the truth. Fifth principle, we can disagree or agree on certain forms of treatment for youth. I am happy to meet with anyone who wants to talk about the transition process for youth. We can talk about it at length if you would like. However, families should be able to arrive at decisions and self-efficacy on their own with their own healthcare practitioners. and free from the prying eyes of the public. Seventh principle, band books and band drag speak to a lack of understanding and respecting of our interdependence. The messages and performances communicate a reality and even fun to all of us. How many here have been to a drag show?
Yeah.
All right, they're fun, right? And drag has existed even at Texas A&M for years. Before Draggingland, there were, back in the day, the all-men core days, right? There were guys that would dress up in drag to take other guys to the dance. It's been around. It's an A&M tradition, if you were. It's a tradition across our culture, and yet there's this current push to ban drag in public spaces as though it's something bad. All of this boils down to it's a matter of faith. Whatever you think of how I've interpreted the 7 principles, however you feel about that, we could be in different views on that, right? But these bills can ultimately be argued to impact faith and the values we hold as progressive people of faith. We need to stand up for our values. We need to stand up for our faith. And we need, as people of faith and spirituality, we should speak to our truth. So what can you do? So, on that link tree, there is a rundown, a 2023 legislative update page from Equality Texas. Please go there and keep track of the bills that are going through. Again, our strategy is to promote the good bills ahead of the bad bills and create some sort of barrier system to them. Stay tuned with Equality Texas for upcoming events that include webinar trainings, local council meetings, advocacy days, etc. Get on their mailing list. Their mailing list is amazing. You will get regular updates every week as to what's going on. If you can, sign up to testify at the state capitol. If you can make it to Austin. I know that for many of us, we have jobs that it's very hard to get away from. It's very hard to even think about, well, if I'm going to be there all day, do I need to spend the night? Because some of these sessions go quite long. But if you can make it, more power to you, and a great way to make your presence known and make your faith, speak your faith and speak your truth to other people. Share your story. There's a place on the Equality Texas website to share how these bills have impacted you and your family and those you know. So besides our link tree, Equality Texas has a link tree, basically just linktree/Equality Texas. I'd recommend you to check both out, but we've given you a bunch of resources on ours. And that's all I really have to present. I hope you found it educational. And if you are so moved to kind of evaluate what you heard, great. I'm going to be here afterwards because I know that you may now be feeling some crap from what's going on. And so if you want to debrief it with me, I'll be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Katy. We have reserved this room for another half hour after coffee hour for any, or coffee time, for if you want to take the time to chat with Katy about some of these bills. And I follow Equality Texas, and I get the emails, and it saves you a lot of time from tracking the bills because they're doing it for you. And you can write letters, can you send emails? I think you have to.
Sometimes you have to go to your legislator's email address.
Right.
But there's a function for that on their site.
So we can do a lot from here, and I wish I could go tomorrow. That would be so exciting, but I have maybe 3 Zoom meetings at work tomorrow, so I may not be able to. But we need to let our voices be known. Now is the time for our offering. Let us take an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, For we are now the keepers of the dream. This church shares the proceeds of the offering plate donation every week to support important nonprofit organizations with which we work. We continue to support the Arlene Campbell Humanitarian Foundation, who operates here in Brazos Valley. Even though they do send medical supplies and equipment for health facilities to Ukraine, they are housed here in the Brazos Valley. And they help facilitate training and research programs between American and Ukrainian scientists and physicians. So please be as generous as you can. And I want to thank Brian for taking the opportunity. We give thanks for these gifts that we have given, for those that we receive, and for each other. Now let's close with our hymn, We Would Be One, number 318 in your great hymnal.
This is a beautiful melody that many of you will recognize from Jean Sauvet's called Finlandia, but the words really speak to us being together.
Our fan has extinguished our chalice already. But we will say the words because they are important to us. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we gather together again.
And now if you can join me in singing, this one's really easy. good you want to see. Grow with love, grow with peace, be the good you want to see. Go in peace.
Enjoy the food and give thanks to those who have made coffee and hot water for tea and the goodies that we're going to eat.
Like, I would love to help